Hello and welcome to another episode of Insider Focus, and today we're talking all things Tottenham Hotspur because they certainly are having a very busy summer. New manager, new era at Spurs as well in that fantastic new stadium, but they want new opportunities to try and win some silverware, to try and push into the area of the league that they think they should be in, that top four, and to try and create a new kind of positive feel around the club. I was there last season. I managed to get down to the stadium, which was fantastic to experience that incredible stadium. But certainly that was for the AC Milan clash in the Champions League. There was certainly a kind of negativity, a frustration, a kind of fed upness around Spurs at that point in time. I'm going to discuss some of the targets. We're going to discuss who they're looking at, talks that are ongoing. We'll, of course, talk Harry Kane. And as a Scotsman who obviously has an interest in the Scottish Premier League and gets to watch Rangers and Celtic on a lot of occasions, we'll talk about Ange Postecoglou and what I think he could achieve at Tottenham Hotspur as well. Before we do that though, please make sure you hit like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Onward with the video. Let's go. So yes, of course, Spurs have been very busy. We may as well talk about some done deals, shouldn't we, already? Let's talk about James Maddison. Real coup for the club, getting James Maddison in the door, beating Newcastle to his signature. Newcastle were long-term admirers of James Maddison, long-term admirers. They liked him and had done a lot of work, spoken to his team, had built themselves up into a decent position, but obviously in the end, he decided to go to Spurs. Newcastle never really kind of moved as far as Spurs did or as quickly. And now James Maddison is a Tottenham player, certainly a player with a lot of ability, set piece as well, specialist. He can score a phenomenal free kick, he can whip in a good corner, he can create, and certainly when I was talking about that game, I was talking about AC Milan, when I got to watch Spurs, I don't think you need to be a football genius to work this out. There was a real lack of creative spark in the middle of the pitch. And that was maybe with the Conte system, but there was a real lack of creative spark there. And they'll be hoping James Maddison is the man to bring that, certainly in that kind of 10 position, in the attacking midfielder position, which will be the three that Ange Postecoglou plays, probably on that right-hand side, pushing in to those areas in between the lines as well of the defence and midfield of the opposition. So that's certainly where they'll want him to operate and play his best and do what he can under Ange Postecoglou. Does he have the work rate for it? That's certainly a question that's been raised, not by me, but has been raised. I think he will be a fantastic signing for Spurs for a good fee as well. It works out about £40 million for James Maddison. Good player, good fee, Premier League experience, certainly can't go wrong with that. Another in the door, of course, confirmed now, is Pedro Porro. Was the best player on the pitch against the Milan game I was at. I'll keep referring to it because I was there. But certainly for me made a real difference when he came on, and has made a difference when he's had moments in games last season for Spurs. It's not a surprise that they've made that permanent. He's got tons of energy, bags of energy, which he is going to need under an Ange Postecoglou system. Interesting to see what happens with the other fullbacks at the club, because Ange Postecoglou has his fullbacks coming high and inverted. They are non-stop as well, up and down. So it'll be interesting to see if he has the legs for it and what he does with the other fullbacks as well. I think Pedro Porro is a fantastic signing for Spurs. I think he's got all the ability to be really good in an Ange Postecoglou system. Again, that €40 million mark for him as well. Certainly a good signing. A strong signing, and not surprised it was made permanent. So he is also now permanently at Spurs, along with Kulevetsky, who comes in from Juventus. Quality player, has shown glimpses of brilliance. Perhaps he was stranglehold. There was a stranglehold on his attacking flair and creativity under Antonio Conte, perhaps, and maybe under Ange he'll have more opportunity to express that. Certainly, the opportunity to get more goals. Again, Ange's wingers have always got goals in his teams because they're always asked to be in the positions to put the ball in the back of the net. There will be an over-reliance on the striker, who we'll obviously get on and talk about a little bit later. They obviously have replaced the goalkeeper now. They've got Vicario in. He comes in place of Hugo Lloris. I think it's a really smart signing from Spurs. He's only 26 years old, and if he can bed in and be as good as he has been, he's got some amazing reels of saves, great shot stopper, decent with the ball at his feet as well, which obviously you need in the modern game. If he can get that in and be quick to start and show his ability fast, then I think that's a really good deal for all parties. Obviously around that €20 million mark for him as well, and a deal till 2028, a long-term contract. So certainly the man to come in and hopefully, in Spurs' case, be the number one for a long period of time. Smart business from Spurs, that, and we knew they needed a replacement, but that is done and dusted as well. And we know the defensive options needed strengthening. We knew that there was problems there. We'll wait to see what happens with Longley from Barcelona, although Barcelona do expect him to move to Spurs permanently. So we'll wait and see what happens on that front. But Mickey van de Ven I want to talk about. Fantastic piece of business if they can get this over the line. A really top talent in Germany at Wolfsburg. Again, Liverpool have done a lot of work on Mickey van de Ven. We do know that. They've spoken to his representatives. They've watched him. They've engaged with him as well. And Tottenham looking to jump in front, which would probably be a bit of a blow to Liverpool. They've lost out on Mount. They've lost out on Bellingham. They're in the Lavia race, but my understanding not quite as far as maybe Arsenal are at this point, and maybe as much work as Chelsea had done early in the window on him. Too, so that could be another one that they could be set to lose out on. Liverpool will not get involved in any bidding wars, and that's what you're seeing them drop out. Spurs might take advantage of that and are moving now to try and get Mickey van de Ven over the line. All nearly done, isn't it now? So very, very good news for Spurs fans. Very good signing and much needed. Davinson Sanchez, we expect to leave the club also. So you needed it. You absolutely needed it. Eric Dyer in this system will be interesting. Again, you have to be a reasonably decent ball player in an Ange Postecoglou defence. Everything starts from usually that 6, which will be an interesting position to see if Spurs do go and get someone new in there. And Højbjerg talks are ongoing right now. He could leave the club, so that's a really interesting one to watch as well. You've obviously got Bentancur in there, who I think is a fantastic player too. So we'll wait and see. Oliver Skip. It usually comes through the guy in the middle of the pitch. So we'll wait and see what happens on that front with Ange Postecoglou's team. But of course, it's not just Van de Ven, is it? Because Tipsoba, who is at Bayer Leverkusen, is a tremendous defender, 24 years old, from Burkina Faso as well. But he's contracted with them till 2026. Really, really talented defender. Has had a lot of interest in him in the past. You're talking top interest in him in the past. Bayern Munich have had a look at him. You've had Barcelona have a look in his direction. He's been linked to Manchester United as well in the past, and Spurs tempted and looking to move for him now. That's obviously another ongoing situation, which will be 2 new centre-backs, potentially a brand new centre-back pairing. What does that mean for the long lady? We'll wait and see in the coming weeks, of course. But that was just an area that you needed to strengthen. And it's clear that Ange Postecoglou is being backed at this point, isn't it? It's clear that he is being backed. He needed it. It needed to be a big summer for sure. And Spurs are looking to bring more players in. You've obviously had 6 incoming, if you include all of the players who have come back as well on loan, etc. And 12 have gone out the door at this point. So there's room for Spurs to grow a squad here. A new squad, a fresh start, and that's what you're seeing. Could Harvey Barnes join his former teammate James Maddison at Tottenham? I'm interested to know your thoughts on this, Tottenham fans. Let me know in the comments below. Harvey Barnes has been courted by Newcastle, as I've reported before. They are interested in him. He is a top English talent. He's obviously a player that kind of suits the Eddie Howe system very well, and an Eddie Howe kind of player. I've said that before, but certainly would suit Spurs as well, because he suits the way Ange Postecoglou plays. High intensity, high energy, a lot of desire, a lot of grit. If you look at how Ange Postecoglou played at Celtic in those big games, he always had Dejan Maeda on that left-hand side, especially like Old Firm games, semi-finals, finals, because Maeda closed and pressed all the time. Yes, that was relative to the fact that James Tavernier at Rangers pushes up on the right-hand side, but most fullbacks in the Premier League are constantly pushing up. And that press, that constant press that Postecoglou wants off the ball, that desire to win the ball back really, really quickly is key for his wingers. So he needs him a lot of energy. Kulusevski, Spurs fans, you'll have an opinion probably better educated than mine on that. I feel like he has got that on the right-hand side, and you need another one of them on the left-hand side. And that, of course, there's Son there, we do know that, and Barnes would be coming in as a backup for Son at this point, you would expect. I'm not suggesting at all he's coming in to replace him. But is Son as good going back as he is going forward? We'll wait and see. Postecoglou, one thing to make clear, he's not afraid to take the big men out of the squad. He's not afraid to make those changes. He's done it on many an occasion to players who have not been happy with it. If you look at the situation with Giakoumakis when he left Celtic, Giakoumakis was scoring a lot of goals for Celtic. Obviously, he ended up in the States at Atalanta in the end, but he just couldn't get ahead of Kyogo, because in the big games he played Kyogo. And that certainly is something that he is not afraid to do. He's not afraid to make a decision. He's not afraid to do what's right by his team. And that's a bit old school in a lot of respects, isn't it? Where the manager gets control, full control of his squad, and kind of lays down the law. "We do not stop" was the saying at Celtic when he was there, and it will be. It is. You see it in his tactics, and you will see it in his tactics while he is at Spurs. Really, really opposites from Conte. If you could ever have an opposite, this is pretty much it. So it's really interesting. But will he be going into that new era Will he be going into it with Harry Kane? That is the big question. I think Spurs fans, I want to know genuinely, would you take Harry Kane for one more season, get your 30 goals and let him go for free? Or would you take the 80 million plus that Bayern Munich are offering? It'll probably be around that £85 million mark for them to get a deal across the line. Bayern pushing for this. Kane is liking what a Bayern have on offer. He certainly had his head turned by this. An opportunity to go and win trophies. I mean, when you're at Bayern Munich, you're going to win trophies and a potential to win the Champions League. Of course, they have got their own strengthening to do, but potential to win the Champions League as well. A competition Tottenham aren't even in next season. Sorry, Spurs fans, to remind you of that. But that is certainly the way it is at the moment. And it's put a query on. I think this has major implications on Lautaro Martinez. I think you need to watch this. If Harry Kane goes, my understanding of Lautaro Martinez, which is obviously reported on quite a lot, is he would be keen on a move to the Premier League. And if ever a striker suited Ange Postecoglou's system, it's Lautaro Martinez. He does get goals still. There's kind of a talk about him not being a man to score goals. Well, he's been 20 plus in the last 3 years. He's got over 100 goals for Inter Milan. World Cup winner, Champions League finalist, obviously, with Inter Milan as well, and would suit down to the ground the Ange Postecoglou system. No kind of references to Kyogo coming to Spurs yet. We're still early in the window. It's the 6th of July while I'm recording this, obviously. We'll wait and see. Perhaps Rio Hatate could be one to watch. We'll wait and see as time goes on. But it's really, really interesting. I think at this point in time, and I don't usually give my opinion, I think it would be wise for Spurs maybe to take the money. And I know you're talking about a man who scores, this is for Harry Kane obviously, I know you're talking about a man who scores 30 odd goals a season. Look what he did last year, and it was overshadowed by Haaland. But that money that they could reinvest in a new project and a new time at Spurs, and perhaps with someone like Harry Kane, who the team is so built around and focused on, it would allow Postecoglou more freedom to do what he wants and play what he wants and bring a new style, a new flair, a new energy into that Spurs side. I will say though, like I said before, don't be surprised if they bring in a striker and Postecoglou might drop Kane. I think it's highly unlikely. Obviously you're talking about Harry Kane, but this is a man who has done this before. He will drop the men that are seen as key, important, irreplaceable if he feels it's right for the team. It's a massive, massive, massive few months ahead for Tottenham Hotspur. Really intriguing to see how they do next season. Really, really intriguing indeed. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they get on as the season unfolds. Certainly a lot more business to come from Tottenham. Daniel Levy has opened his chequebook and is supporting his new Australian manager, Ange Postecoglou. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment below as well. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheerio.